Pumpkin Patch fundraisers began in 1974 with 3 acres of pumpkins and a partnership with one church. Richard and Janice Hamby have been growing pumpkins and adding churches and nonprofits ever since. It's a wonderful partnership of trust. The churches and nonprofit organizations trust us to grow and deliver great pumpkins. We trust those organizations to be diligent in selling their pumpkins, honest in reporting their sales, and attentive to paying our percentage of sales. We are responsible for all the costs associated with growing, harvesting, and shipping, and to ensure you'll have a successful patch, we bear all the risk of loss due to theft and spoilage. While it's unusual in the business world, this relationship of trust has been very effective throughout the years. In fact, that first church, Centenary United Methodist Church, is still with us today. After being hit by Hurricane Hugo, we moved our farming operations to the Navajo Indian Reservation in Farmington, New Mexico. We grow 28 varieties of pumpkins, gourds, and decorative corn in cooperation with the Navajo Agricultural Products Industry, known as NAPI. In 2001, we grew over 2,000 acres, or 2 square miles of pumpkins, and we employ over 1,000 Native Americans during the harvest months of September and October. By 2001, our Pumpkin Patch family had grown to over 800 locations in 39 states, representing 25 denominations, and the entire project is still based on trust. Pumpkin Patch Fundraisers is dedicated to providing a quality fundraiser for churches and nonprofit organizations through availability of products and resources, providing good customer service, support, and encouragement. All right, let's talk about the unloading of your pumpkin. Unloading is such a crucial part of your whole pumpkin patch, because when you treat your pumpkins well, they are going to treat you well. So remember, when you're unloading, to take good care of your pumpkins. It's going to help them stay longer, last longer, be prettier, and ultimately bring you a more successful patch. So a few things. Before your truck even arrives, be very clear about where you're going to put your pumpkins down. Think through whether you want long strips of pumpkins, wide strips of pumpkins with pathways in between them, or whether you're going to do sort of a checkerboard and have winding pathways through. Sort of think that through, because you'll want to know then where to put your volunteer tent. Set that up beforehand. You'll need something like that to make sure you keep your volunteers out of bad weather if any inclement weather comes up at any time. And then when your truck arrives, you'll want to open those doors up, let the moisture come out. Since you already know how your patch is going to be laid out, if you can, pull your truck to the back of your patch. Begin unloading there, and as you unload, you can have the truck move ahead and you don't have to make such long lines to get to where you're going to be putting your pumpkins down. But remember that you can unload at night quite easily with some inexpensive lights from a hardware store. You can cast some light up into the truck, or you can use car lights to cast light out where your pumpkins are being put down. So remember, you can unload at night. And then a very important thing is, before you begin to unload, check your inventory list. Your patch coordinator or someone there should have a list that we have faxed to you that will have your inventory, what you're supposed to take off and what you're supposed to leave on. So it'll give you the number of boxes to take off of gourds and minis and pie pumpkins and all that sort of thing. It'll also give you the count of the number of bulk pumpkins that you're supposed to remove. Please unload your order. Keep track of that, and I'll get back to that in a minute. All right, so you've got your truck, you've got it set up. You're remembering pumpkins are vegetables. Treat them gently. Your doors are open, and you remember that this is called a stem. It's not a handle. Pumpkins don't have handles. You see people carrying pumpkins by the stem. Please remind them not to do that, because if the stem breaks off, it's hard to sell that pumpkin. And so you'll want to keep the stem on there as best you can. As you begin, you'll want to set a line that starts at the back of the truck. So they drop a pumpkin down to the first person in that line. They hand it off to someone. It's always, I find it's best if the person who receives it is facing that person. They can hand it off and then hand it off to someone else. And that way, it makes for easier not having to twist and turn. But however you do it, make a line out, hand your pumpkins or gently toss them to the next person in line. And the last person then will gently lay the pumpkin on the ground in that pre-designed fashion that you've already set up and that everybody's very clear about. And then if you use a wheelbarrow to get pumpkins out there, maybe some of the really big pumpkins you can't carry, make sure the wheelbarrow is lined with straw or has a blanket or something in it so that you don't damage the skin of the pumpkin. That makes it rot or go bad more quickly. Then also you'll have a line on the inside, and those are the folks who take the pumpkins off of the stack and hand them out. And safety-wise, and also for taking care of your pumpkin, what you'll want to remember is not to allow avalanches. Avalanches are when the angle gets too steep on the face of the pumpkins and you pull one out from the bottom and a whole bunch cascade down. You can prevent that by wearing soft-soled shoes and climbing to the top of the pile, taking pumpkins off of that so that the angle is a little less intense and you won't have the avalanches. It keeps you safe and it keeps your pumpkin safe. And then also the people on the inside, or maybe you'll have someone who's designated, will find a pumpkin that's got some writing on it. That's your model. It's got a number written on there. Pull the models aside, keep them safe, or pass them down to someone who'll put them at the sales table. You want to keep your models in one place and intact, and we'll go over that later because we use those for pricing. And then the safety issues. If you are at any time throwing pumpkins, everybody needs to be aware of that because you can have mistakes. I know I've seen it happen where someone gets conked, so be careful with that. The other thing is, don't stim your friend, or he won't be your friend for long. That's where if you're tossing a pumpkin to someone, don't make the stem come right at them. Turn the stem so it's away. Believe me, that's the best way to keep friends. Finally, you'll want to count all your pumpkins as they come off. That's going to help us know exactly how many pumpkins you have, so when it's time, we can help resupply you if you need them. It also makes sure that you get the fair amount of pumpkins you're supposed to get, and the next people down the line get their fair amount. So you want to keep track of those pumpkins. And it's not just the good pumpkins. If you're supposed to get 1,000 pumpkins and you're unloading a pumpkin, you see one that's got a bad spot or it's cracked open, and you throw it aside, keep that one in your count, because you're supposed to take off the first 1,000 pumpkins that you get to. It's not that they were loaded randomly, and you should take them off that way. So you don't go looking for better pumpkins or different pumpkins. They should be pretty much all the same all the way through. So if you take off, if your order's for 1,000 and you pull aside 10 broken ones, then you add to that your 990 good pumpkins, and that's how you get your 1,000. So please remember that. And then of course at the end you want to clean up your portion back to the next set of pumpkins, or if you're the last one on the truck, if it was your whole truck, you want to clean that all the way off and make sure that it's been swept and ready for the next load that'll be picked up. All right, this is the great time where we talk about quality control. Quality control is important. You know, one of the major reasons is you don't want to reach down and pick up a pumpkin to show to someone and have your hand just go through the bottom of a rotted pumpkin. So everybody needs to be vigilant for those pumpkins that are going bad. You can get them out before they turn into soup and smell bad in your patch. So everybody keep an eye out, cull out those rotting pumpkins. Have a place set aside where you can put them, whether it's a big dumpster or the back of your field, or you know, whatever your specific situation requires. Everybody needs to help with that. Also, everybody needs to remind each other and your customers that this is not a handle. It's a stem. Don't carry your pumpkins by the stem. The big pumpkins, the the stems will break off, and people want to buy pumpkins that have stems. So don't carry your pumpkins by stems. Also, you want to make sure that your pumpkins aren't sitting on straw. They go bad if they sit on straw. They can sit on a bale of hay or something if you've got a decorative photo op area set up. You just want to make sure it's not collecting moisture under there. Also, your Indian corn will collect moisture itself, so don't leave it out overnight where it's going to get dew on it. Put it under cover, or maybe even take it inside. And then you'll also want to, every 3 to 5 days, straighten your patch back up. Make sure your design is maintained, the pathways are good. Just sort of tidy up. Make sure everything looks as good as it did when you first put the pumpkins down. And then the final thing that's just so important is that you roll your pumpkins every other day.
This is wet on top. It's probably from dew, and it's wet underneath. And if you don't move that around, this pumpkin will never dry out underneath, and it's going to rot from the bottom. That's why you roll them. This is really wet.
Pick it up and show it to me. Show me how wet it is.
How wet this pumpkin is.
Yeah.
And it's just the dew. We didn't have any rain last night. It's just dew. So if you leave it in that same spot and never move it, it's going to start getting bad on the bottom. So you need to roll them so they can air and dry out underneath. These are all wet.
Have fun. Everybody needs to pay attention to quality control, and you'll have a gorgeous patch.
Bad.
How bad?
Really bad.
Ugly bad?
Cute bad.
Worse than the last one?
Much worse.
How could it be worse than the last one?
I don't know. It just doesn't have to be this way.
Let's save another one. Oh, it's too late.
Oh.
Time 10:02. Another rotten pumpkin.
It's okay. There was nothing you could have done.
It's not okay. People just have to care. So much of this rotting could be prevented if people would just roll their pumpkins. Please, roll your pumpkins every other day.
All right, now we get to talk about sales. When you are out there as a salesperson, this is such a crucial part of your pumpkin patch. You're going to be selling pumpkins, but even more important than that, you get a chance to promote the great things that your organization is doing. You get a chance to talk to people about the wonderful things going on in your church. This is a great time for you to make a wonderful contact in the community. So always be courteous and attentive. Be proactive. Go out and meet someone. Be very sure that you know your organization's mission and the intent that your money will be used for. Because then you can go out, and when you meet someone, you can give them a sticker that says, "I've visited the pumpkin patch." You can explain to them, hey, we're doing a fundraiser to raise money so that our kids can do this trip, or that we can build a habitat house, or whatever it is. Go right out and make sure people know what it is you're doing. They'll love you for it. They want to know that they're spending money not only for a great pumpkin, but also for a good cause.
This is our first year for doing the pumpkin patch. We were averaging about 62 to 65, up to 70 in worship. The people who now attend that we met and became related to our church through the pumpkin patch came to buy a pumpkin for their children who saw the pumpkins sitting out by the road. We reached persons who some of them didn't even know our church existed. And from there we've had 10 people that now have started coming to our church. 7 who are very active and have joined the church. It was open to everybody. It wasn't just the pastor out there doing it, it was the congregation. I'm Pastor Janine Spangs from First United Methodist Church in Geneva, and because of the pumpkin patch, we now have 10 new people worshiping and actively involved in our congregation. Praise God.
Let's identify some of your inventory. This is a mini, a weeby little, a spooky, and a regular pumpkin. So to start out, remember the pricing, the way you'll tell someone what the price of a pumpkin is by those models.
So how much are your pumpkins?
What you do is you pick one out and you bring it up here and we will size it up to our models to get it as close as we can.
Please don't break your prices. It'll hurt your profits. Because if you break your price by 20%, you've also dropped your profit by 20%. So, you know, some of the ways you can deal with bargain shoppers, first of all, never apologize for the prices of the pumpkins. Let people know that your cause is a good one. Speak to them ahead of time about what you're doing the fundraiser for. Also, don't lower your prices, because then the next person along is going to want you to do the same thing, the next person in line. So if someone decides they don't want a pumpkin, remind them that you still take donations. And remember, a donation to your organization is 100% yours. That's not figured into anything that we do. And then the other thing that's important is that you are very clear on how your organization wants you to handle the cash. We suggest that you always have someone near the cash box, and that way no one has to wait to buy a pumpkin to have someone there. But also it helps to prevent theft and things like that. Make sure you've got plenty of change at the beginning of your shift. It's so easy to run out of ones during a big rush. And then finally, ask your patch coordinator or your financial secretary what you should do in the event that you just accumulate too much cash. You have an overabundance. Ask how you should deal with that. It's important that everybody handles the money in the same way, so everybody feels really good and solid on that. But again, remember, when you're doing sales, go out, greet someone with a big smile, let them know what you're doing. This is your chance to promote the wonderful things you guys are up to, as well as to be able to raise money. And this is the best part of the patch. Well, I hope this is a helpful video for you. I hope it'll help your volunteers and everybody along the way. Again, this is just part of the Pumpkin Patch's commitment to making sure you have just an excellent fundraiser, that your patch goes well, everything goes well for you. I want to remind you that to be reporting your sales to us each day over the internet, and then we'll keep track and make sure you've got plenty of pumpkins to sell strong all the way through the 31st. If you have any questions, please give us a call on our 800 number, 800-453-9793. We'd love to answer any questions or try and help you figure out solutions for any problems that may arise. But please, if anything comes up, call us early on. We want to know. We want to help you with it. And so thank you again for your attention.
Everybody here, some of these guys come out like 7 days a week for 4 weeks to work. The office staff comes in at 6 in the morning, at least Marion Perry does. Sometimes we don't get out till 2 or 3 in the morning. I think she got out at 4 2 days ago. It could be more for the churches. We do everything we can to get your pumpkins to you on time, including working at dark and adjusting trucks after midnight. Sometimes things don't come off exactly as they should. Maybe we're short of labor or the weather changes on us, but our full efforts are always in getting the pumpkins to you in a timely manner. It's in our best interest to do so, and we know that you're dependent on us. Thanks for being a pumpkin church.
All right, let's do the top 10 things to remember for your patch, and we're going to do it in under a minute. Location, location, location. Remember, put your pumpkins out by the road where everybody can see them, see how much fun you're having. That's the best way. 2, take care of your pumpkins. When you're unloading, while they're sitting out there, make sure your pumpkins are doing well. They'll take care of you. Number 3, we ask that you please start your sales within 24 hours of delivery. It's going to be a big time. People will see them. Number 4, report your sales daily. That's how we keep track of how you're doing, and we'll know if you need a resupply or not. Number 5, staff your patch at least 8 hours a day. You can start at 10, you can start at noon. It's up to you. Delegate, delegate, delegate. Seriously, if you're going to have fun, you're going to need to delegate what you do. Number 7, it is impossible to have too many people helping unload the pumpkins. Get a ton of folks to help. In fact, everything for the patch. Ask everyone for help. Neighbors, scouts, booster clubs, senior center, relatives, strangers, babysitters. 9, call us early, call us often. If anything comes up, please, let's talk about it. We'll help you get it settled. And finally, relax, smile, and have a little bit too much fun. Take care now.